Fam, it's your boy Pop Pop. So this stuff is really getting crucial now. And the Iron Eagle, that's us, has decided to join the club and recently shot a rocket into the Pacific Ocean. We're like skunks in a pissing contest, and both of us are going to end up stinking. So we're doing just like Rocket Man now, shooting rockets off into the ocean to intimidate other people. And recently something else came over Alaska and they shot it down immediately this time. But see, when they didn't take down the other balloon immediately, they really did a disservice. And I can tell you why. Because that balloon was what you call a spotter. And pretty much nobody has said this, but what they have come up with is going to verify what I'm saying as far as all of the antennas and everything that were on that balloon. And the Red Dragon country lied when they said the balloon was out of control. The balloon very obviously was being steered around our our top secret silos and everything like that. So I can tell you what they were doing when they steered the balloon into the space that's not allowed around those silos. Those silos went on what's called high alert. And when they transmitted the message that they were on high alert, that message was received by that balloon. So they can do one of two things. They can figure out how to block the message or to de-encrypt the message so that when time comes and the real deal happens and they send some boom boom over our way, when we press that button, it most likely is not going to work unless they change all of those codes very quickly and have a backup way of transmitting those codes. But I'm sure that the Dragon Country didn't send that balloon over for shits and giggles, like we were told. But that's what I think they did. They were what's called target spotting. Because, see, my generation is old enough to remember what we did to Japan out of necessity in WW2. We flew weather planes over Japan. And the Japanese got used to the planes going over one or two planes at a time, high up at the time, which was 30,000 feet up in the air. And the Japanese really couldn't do anything about it. Then they got used to the planes going over, and they stopped calling alerts. So that day in 1945, when the Enola Gay went over Hiroshima, they didn't pay it much attention, and then they got an egg dropped on them, and thousands of people wiped out. The Iron Eagle justified it because we said that they had 20,000 troops stationed in Hiroshima. But the one reason they wanted to whack Hiroshima was that Hiroshima was a virgin city that hadn't been scarred by anything in WW2. So they wanted to see just exactly how much destruction the BOMB would cause on that city. That's the truth of it. But you have to remember that the Japanese did horrific things to to POWs. They marched them to death. They starved them to death. They stripped off their skin while the men were alive. They took out body parts while the men were alive. You know, they froze them to death. They beheaded some of them. Beheading is a really nasty way to off somebody, because the idea with beheading is that you're denying the person their eternal soul salvation. Beheading is supposed to be a heathen thing that you do to somebody to deny their soul salvation. But in any case, they did all these horrible things. Our country was minding its own business on a Sunday morning in Pearl Harbor when all the men were at ease. The ships didn't have their watertight doors locked. So when they whacked all of our ships, they went straight to the bottom. And the men that did survive in the ships that were rolled over were left to expire, because the Navy had to refloat those ships. So what they did was they didn't want to cut on the ships or cut holes in the bottom of the ships looking for those men. They didn't want any more damage. So night after night, the security guards would walk those shipyards and hear the men banging pipes and wrenches on the inside of those ships, asking for someone to come save them, and it never happened. 3 men were found in a one compartment. I think it was the USS West Virginia, if I'm remembering right. You know, almost a century later, forgive me. But 3 men were found almost 2 weeks later. Well, it was 2 weeks later, after Pearl Harbor got hit. That's how long they survived underneath that ship, turned upside down in a little room, slowly running out of food and oxygen and water. Huddled together is how they found their bodies. And they had drawn a calendar on the wall where they were marking off the days, hoping to be rescued, and rescue never happened. Horrific. War is horrific. But in any case, these balloons were much more than the Red Dragon is admitting to. They've lied to us already. You need to get your house in order. You need to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. You need to have your physical fitness in order. And you need to have your preps in order. Pop out.